Hey everyone, and welcome back to the next part in my dialing in series for our Line 6 Helix. This week I'm going to go more amp model specific rather than artist specific preset. I had a request, I think it was on YouTube, that somebody asked me if I could possibly dial in a patch with the Soldano amps we have. So the ones that we do have available to us in the Helix are the three channels, I believe, of the Soldano SLO-100. Not an amp I've ever used, not that I remember. I may have used one at some point in, I can't remember where. I remember plugging into one somewhere, but it's not an amp I'm overly familiar with in the real world. But I'm guessing here that it is a 3-channel amp with, clean crunch and lead. Now, what I thought would be a really neat thing to do would be to create a preset, sort of an all-purpose preset for live or studio playing that utilized all 3 channels, therefore kind of creating a virtual copy of this amp that we could switch between different channels using snapshots, right? And like I've done recently, just set up maybe 4 snapshots, a clean one that's a little more pushed and broken up, an overdrive one, and then maybe a fully distorted one. Now, this is all going to be based around whether the DSP within the Helix is going to allow us to add all these amps with the cabinets we need. So let's take a look. Let's dive right into this and see how this is going to sound. This is not an amp I've used extensively. I have done a couple maybe guitar solo cover videos using the Soldano lead channel, and maybe even, if I remember correctly, don't quote me on this, the Nuno Betancourt video I did recently may have used that as well. I think it did so. But not an amp I've used extensively. So let's dive over to HX Edit and dive right into this and see what we can come up with, all right? So here we are. I have a blank preset. I'm not going to use my normal template that I use with the split crossover and whatnot. Recently, I've had a lot of folks ask me if I still ever just use dual cabs with different microphones rather than the split crossover. And the answer is sure. There are situations which would still call for that. The split crossover I just find is a very instinctive way to work because I can see what frequency the crossover is at, and it's just adding this sort of like a high or low shelf EQ to it. And you can almost predict what the outcome is going to become. Whereas with different mics and speaker cabinets, it's a little more trial and error possibly. So, but we'll do that today. We'll try an interesting one without the split crossover, and we'll use a dual cabs with different mics, maybe a dynamic and a ribbon like I enjoy doing in the real world and in Helix. So what I'm going to do with this, I'm going to start off. I've already assigned path 2A down to path 1 down to path 2A. I've labeled this patch Soldano, and I've set up and named 4 snapshots: clean, push, OD, and distortion. Okay, so let's add everything we need to here. I'm going to start off by going to, we'll make this stereo. We'll go to the LA Studio comp that I normally add to the end of all of my patches, put them on sort of the default settings that I like to use. Go past that. I'm going to go to a stereo parametric EQ, and all I'm going to do is put the low cut, let's start off at 90. I'll go anywhere from 80 to 100 usually, but let's start off at 90 and let's say 12 kilohertz or 12,000 hertz. All right. I'm going to also come in and add a reverb as I like to do. And let's go with a 63 spring and maybe, 4.5 on the decay. Pre-delay of 10 and pull a mix back around 26-ish. Okay, now let's see what the Helix is going to allow us to add in as far as the amps go. First off, I'm going to go amp and cab just to see what cab they pair up with the Soldano model. So there's a solo lead clean, and it's with a 412 solo lead EM, the crunch. So they all get the same treatment as far as cabs go. So let's just put the amp there, and then we'll add so that's the clean amp. Now we'll go to another block and we will add the crunch amp. All right, I'm just going to turn these off for now so we don't have them building up on one another. And let's see if we can add the solo. No, so they've grayed our amps out. So we're out of DSP as far as amps go on path 1. So I'm going to come down to the first block over on path 2, and I will add the solo lead OD down there. Okay. Now, obviously, what we need, let me turn the guitar down here, is to go and add our cabs. And I'm hoping it's going to allow us to add 2 down here on path 2 with everything else we have going on. It looks like it's going to, so that's awesome. Good. And I'm going to drag that down to split those. Just my OCD here, make everything line up nicely. And I'm going to change this split to a, oh, it's already split AB. Great. Okay. The other thing is then we would, okay, so there's a 409 dynamic at, let's make it just at 1 inch. And obviously I don't want the same thing on the next cabinet. So let's go with maybe a 4038. Let's try something really crazy, which is a very dark, kind of woolly sounding mic. So I'm going to just sort of instinctively start with that about 6 inches back and maybe give it a little more level, just because I know as you pull those mic distances back, the levels drop on them. Let's go 4 dB. And I may have to change this after, but for now, we'll give it a whirl. Okay, we'll turn that amp off as well. So it seems like we're all set to start getting some signal. I probably would like a delay here. Let's see what it gives us as far as a stereo delay. Really not a lot of choices, right? We have a duct, a ping pong, and a simple. Let's just go with a simple delay. I'm going to turn it off for now. I usually like to set these with note values, and I can instinctively sort of tell when it comes time for this is all going to be too high for my liking. Now let's do that for now. And actually, let's just go 100 on the scale. Okay, sounds good. So we're going to dive into messing with a clean patch. I'll turn the clean amp on for our snapshot 1 and just see what happens. So we've got one cab with the 4038, like we've already mentioned, 6 inches back, one cab with the 409 dynamic. Not a favorite mic of mine to use normally, but let's just go with it, see what happens. And these are both split evenly right now, which is something we'll probably play with. Okay, let's see what this sounds like. I'm playing my Golden Summit with Lawler pickups. This is a bridge pickup, so. Okay, we got a decent amount of volume there. That's good. Let's just bring that up a little bit, maybe. Man, that doesn't sound bad right out of the gate, just like that. You can hear the compressor working at the end, but not in a bad way. I'm kind of liking it. It's giving it a nice glue to it. I find maybe there's a little too much in the tone stack here bass-wise. I'm going to roll that back a little bit. And I want this to be pretty clean. Let me just roll. See what happens if we go to a 4. Just a little bit of volume there, so. Compression at the end. I'm going to go slightly paralleled on this. Nice. That's not bad. I'm going to probably just, well, let's see what happens if we roll this back to a little bit more of just the dynamic mic. Yeah, let's roll this back a little bit. Yeah, I think rolling it back to the dynamic mic a little bit more helps it to work better on all pickup selections on this neck, middle, and bridge. So I think we'll go there for the clean. I'm okay with all that. Now, if we're going to move this to the Snapshot 2 to push, have a little more breakup, I'm going to probably stay on the Solo lead clean for now and see how far I can push it, see how much breakup I can get just from this amp model, or this channel, the clean channel still. I'm assuming it's going to break up somewhat, right? So let's see what happens. Here what we have is basically the, okay, sorry, have the delay on that. The same thing. So nothing's changed there. What happens if we push the master, first of all? Okay, so before we do that though, we're going to want to Alt-click. Let's push that to 10. We'll set up a snapshot to bring our channel volume back a bit. See that between the clean and the... Okay, that's not bad. Now, we're going to want to push, see how much we can get away with on our drive. Let's go up around 9. See what that sounds like. See what the volume's like between the clean and the push. That's not bad. I'm almost think it's a little too overdriven, so I'm gonna maybe just pull this back. Maybe bring that channel volume back up a touch. Oops. Gonna push. Depends on how much gain you're gonna want on your push, right? That's starting to get fairly overdriven, so maybe I'll just pull this back a little bit again. Now on that, I may come in and Alt-click this, create a snapshot, and go even a little bit more to the dynamic. Get a little more jangle into it, and a little less of the warmth of the ribbon. That's nice. Again, this is going to be personal preference. Let's go just a hair more volume there. I'll leave it there. That seems to have enough breakup for my personal preference. Again, if it isn't enough for you, you can always come in and add a little bit more drive, balance your channel volume, but let's leave that. Okay, well, let's move to our Snapshot 3, where we're gonna add some overdrive, turn that delay off. Now, what I'm gonna do on this one is get rid of the clean amp now, and we're gonna dial in the crunch channel. So let's see what that sounds like just with the default settings. To me, it sounds very bottom heavy right now. I'm going to pull the bass back on the tone stack to start. That's a little bit better. Dab more presence, maybe. That's not bad. Now, let me compare that to the push sound, because we obviously want to have a difference between the overdrive and the push. If they're going to have the same amount of distortion, it's kind of not going to be much point, right? So let's see what we got. Here's the push. Sounding pretty similar at that point. So I'm going to want to come in and add more gain here. Let's go up to 8 on the crunch channel. Okay, not bad. Let's compare the volume between that and the crunch and the amount of, the push and the overdrive. Now we can hear there's a lot more gain from the push to the overdrive. Volume seems to be not too bad. Here we go again. So here's our clean. Here's our push. Here's our drive. Now, some folks might find, oh, that's a little too warm, or maybe it doesn't cut enough, or it really depends on personal preference, but we could come in and adjust our mic balance to get more cut or less cut. On something like this, I'm at A25, so it's mostly the dynamic mic with some ribbon mic in it, with it mixed in. But if I was to go A100 all dynamic mic, it's really up to us. We can adjust this to A40. That's actually not even bad right there, right? So let's hear the push. I actually kind of like that. It gives a nice sound. So I'm okay with that. Let's move to our distortion channel. Turn our clean amp off. Turn our lead channel on. Let's turn our delay off for now, and let's just see what we have here by default setting. Not bad. Where is our split AB here? It's at 25. Let's just make that one to 40 as well. It's not too bad. Maybe a touch thick in the bass. Again, I'm going to pull that back to about 4. Probably lacking some treble and some presence, I'm thinking, on those default settings. It's pretty warm. Bad. Well, let's do that. And the amount of gain we're going to want here is really, again, going to be personal preference. Let's maybe come in and just go, I don't know, 30. We'll go a little heavier to the ribbon for this lead. Maybe give it a bit of a smoother tone, and then come and crank our tone stacks, treble, and presence up a little bit more. Not bad. See that? I don't mind that at all, actually. Let's add a touch more of the bottom back. I don't dislike that. That's all right. So let's see how that stacks up balance-wise, volume-wise between the other channels. So here's our clean. Push. Overdrive. Distortion. Seems the volume jumps a bit on that. That's not bad. Let's add a little bit of delay into that one. Turn that on and see what those default settings that I kind of instinctively set sound like. It's not bad. Again, personal preference, right? You might want to dial a little bit more in on that. So, I don't know. What do you guys think? I think that's a good starting point for most folks. I don't know how much more room DSP-wise we have to add anything else in there. The amp and cabs are going to be eating up a lot of it. But again, just to recap, here's our clean. Push. Overdrive. Distortion. Back to our clean. Might need a little bit more volume balancing there. It's probably something you'd want to dial in once you start using it live and see what cuts more or less. But overall, I would be quite happy to use that. It's pretty versatile, I think. It goes from everything from a very nice Nice, clean, right up to all-out distortion. Now, it is on the smoother side of things. Some folks might want a little bit more maybe cut to that. So one thing you could do is you could also come to our EQ here, right? And say, you know, for the distortion channel, maybe sort of snapshot this, come into maybe 4.5K with a, I don't know, start with a Q of 1.4 and maybe, I don't know, boost that up a few dB. That wouldn't be on our overdrive, right? That would flatten back out. Then again, maybe you would want that on all of the snapshots as well. So it'd be up to you to decide that, you know. So we could do a little bit of tone shaping with our EQ after the fact if you find that it's maybe too dark, not bright enough, whatever. But what do you guys think? I hope you enjoyed that. I'm going to throw that up on custom tone here. I'll just hit the old save button, and you guys can grab that and try it out. Like I said, it's probably going to take some tweaking for your own guitars, for your own monitoring system, and just for your own personal preference, right? But it's a good starting point, and I think that would work to be a pretty versatile patch for either live or even in the studio, or just a great practice patch for a variety of different styles. So hope you guys enjoyed that, and leave me your comments. Let me know how you liked it. Please like the video, subscribe if you haven't already. Really appreciate all the support you guys are giving me, and I'll be back very soon with some more hopefully interesting videos. All right, thanks for tuning in again, guys. Ciao for now, and we'll talk soon.